In professional wrestling, rivalries sometimes go far beyond chasing championships or climbing the rankings. Some become so personal, so bitter, that the combatants seem less concerned with winning a match and more intent on inflicting punishment. Over the decades, WWE has presented countless exciting bouts, but only a select few have reached the point where the ring resembled a battlefield, where emotions boiled over into unforgettable blood-soaked memories. These matches remain etched into the history books not simply because of the titles at stake or the athleticism on display, but because of the raw intensity that left fans stunned. Today we're diving into the top 10 bloodiest matches in WWE history. Contests where rivalries pushed men to their breaking point and reminded the world that professional wrestling, though entertainment, demands courage, resilience, and sacrifice. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you never miss another deep dive into the greatest moments in WWE history. 10. Randy Savage vs. Ric Flair, WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 8 delivered one of the most memorable encounters in WWE history when Randy Savage clashed with Ric Flair, a match that combined personal storytelling with in-ring intensity. Flair had spent weeks tormenting Savage by claiming he had been with Miss Elizabeth, sparking outrage and giving the rivalry a deeply emotional edge. The match itself was spectacular, full of drama and athleticism, but what truly stunned fans was the sight of Ric Flair, usually known for his flashy robes and cool confidence, covered in blood on WWE's grandest stage. In an era when the company was emphasizing family-friendly content, seeing Flair battered and bleeding elevated the drama to another level. Savage fought with incredible fire, the crowd roaring in his support as he finally overcame Flair and claimed victory. To add to the spectacle, Flair even cut a fiery promo afterwards with blood still on his face, angrily promising revenge. The combination of storytelling, drama, and the shocking visuals made this match an all-time WrestleMania classic. 9. Sergeant Slaughter vs. The Iron Sheik, Boot Camp Match, 1984. Back in 1984, Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron Sheik delivered one of the first truly brutal encounters in WWE history with their legendary Boot Camp Match. This wasn't just a regular bout, it was the culmination of a heated rivalry between two characters representing clashing ideologies, and it quickly turned into chaos. The match had no rules, no countouts, and the atmosphere was electric as the two fought like soldiers in a war zone. Slaughter showed unrelenting aggression, tearing into Sheik with everything he had, while Sheik responded with vicious strikes and underhanded tactics that made the fans despise him even more. Both men endured punishment, and both spilled blood as the fight escalated into a spectacle of grit and determination. By the end, Slaughter's fighting spirit and refusal to quit carried him to victory, sending the crowd into a frenzy. The Boot Camp Match set a new bar for intensity in WWE, showing that when rivalries ran deep enough, the ring could transform into a battlefield where only the toughest survived. 8. John Cena vs. Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 23. John Cena's showdown with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23 was a true test of endurance and toughness, and it became one of the last big WrestleMania matches where blood played such a dramatic role. Cena, arriving in grand fashion, faced a hostile crowd that cheered for Michaels, the beloved veteran who knew exactly how to control the pace of a match. Michaels attacked Cena's knee relentlessly, but a missed charge into the steel post gave Cena an opening. From there, the fight grew nastier, with both men colliding with the ring post and steps, leaving each bloodied. The sight of Michaels, always one of wrestling's best storytellers, fighting through crimson added weight to the match, while Cena battled back through exhaustion and pain. Near falls and dramatic counters kept the audience guessing until Cena finally locked in his submission hold to secure the victory. After the match, Cena showed respect to Michaels, reflecting on his own growth as a competitor and dedicating his win to his father. It was not only a milestone in Cena's career, but also a fitting showcase for Michaels, who once again reminded fans why he was one of the greatest of all time. 7. Eddie Guerrero vs. JBL, Judgment Day, 2004. Eddie Guerrero's title defense against JBL at Judgment Day, 2004, has gone down in history as one of the most shocking matches the company ever produced, not only for its intensity, but for the incredible amount of blood lost during the fight. The feud between Guerrero and JBL was deeply personal, and the physicality reflected that animosity. Early in the contest, a vicious chair shot left Guerrero badly cut, and from there, the match became a test of sheer willpower. Fans were horrified by the sight of Eddie stumbling and struggling to stay on his feet, but at the same time, they admired his unbelievable toughness. Every time it seemed he couldn't continue, Guerrero fought back, his fighting spirit shining through the adversity. JBL, meanwhile, thrived in the role of villain, mocking Eddie and relishing the chaos. The match not only pushed Guerrero to his limits, but also elevated JBL to a true main-event level heel. While the visuals were tough to watch, the story of heart, grit, and determination made this one of the most unforgettable matches of its time. 6. Brock Lesnar vs. The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, No Mercy, 2002. When Brock Lesnar faced The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell at No Mercy 2002, fans knew it would be brutal, but few were prepared for the carnage that followed. Lesnar, the dominant young champion, entered with a ruthless strategy, targeting Undertaker's injured hand and using the unforgiving steel structure as a weapon. The Undertaker, though bloodied early, fought with the intensity of a man refusing to surrender, using chairs, steps, and even his own injured limb as weapons. The violence escalated to the point where even Paul Heyman, Lesnar's manager, was accidentally busted open in the chaos. The Undertaker battled valiantly, but Lesnar's raw power proved too much, and he finished the fight with an emphatic F5. The image of Lesnar climbing the cage with the WWE Championship in hand, standing tall above the destruction, became an iconic moment. The match remains one of the most violent Hell in a Cell contests in WWE history, cementing Lesnar as a force of dominance and proving Undertaker's resilience even in defeat. 5. Triple H vs. Cactus Jack, Royal Rumble, 2000. The Royal Rumble in 2000 featured one of the most legendary street fights ever, as Triple H defended his title against Cactus Jack, Mick Foley's most sadistic persona. This was not just a championship match. It was a war designed to push both men to their limits. Cactus Jack brought an arsenal of weapons and a reputation for extreme violence, while Triple H entered determined to prove that he wasn't just a champion by name, but the toughest man in WWE. The fight was relentless, with barbed wire boards, steel chairs, and countless brutal spots that left both men bleeding. Foley, as always, put his body on the line, enduring horrific punishment to make the story as real as possible, while Triple H showed resilience that many had doubted he possessed. By the end, Triple H retained his title, but the respect he earned that night elevated him into WWE's top villain and a true main eventer. For Foley, the match was another reminder of his unmatched dedication to storytelling and his willingness to suffer for the fans. 4. Hulk Hogan vs. Mr. McMahon, WrestleMania 19. WrestleMania 19 gave fans a dream spectacle when Hulk Hogan finally squared off against Vince McMahon in a match that blurred the line between fiction and reality. Years of tension between the two, stemming from Hogan leaving WWE for WCW and other real-life disputes, boiled over into a dramatic street fight. Neither man held back as they swung chairs, brawled outside the ring, and fought with pure hatred. Soon, both were bleeding heavily, their faces telling the story of a rivalry that had spanned decades. At one point, even the Spanish announce table and its crew got caught in the chaos, heightening the unpredictable feel of the fight. McMahon, despite being the company chairman, threw himself into the role of ruthless villain, while Hogan played the resilient hero one more time. The audience witnessed a battle of pride and ego, and when Hogan finally overcame McMahon, it felt like the end of a long, bitter chapter. This wasn't a technical wrestling match. It was raw storytelling through violence, and it delivered exactly what fans wanted to see. Third Batista versus Triple H, Hell in a Cell, Vengeance 2005. The rivalry between Batista and Triple H reached its boiling point at Vengeance 2005 inside Hell in a Cell, a match that truly cemented Batista as a legitimate main event star. Their feud had begun with Batista breaking away from Evolution and defeating Triple H at WrestleMania, but the animosity only grew in the following months. Hell in a Cell was the ultimate battleground, and both men came prepared to destroy each other. Chains, steel steps, and even a barbed wire chair came into play as the two tore into one another. Triple H, in particular, suffered heavy bleeding after repeated shots into the steel. But he kept fighting with the desperation of a man who couldn't accept losing his spot at the top. Batista, though battered and bloodied himself, proved he could not only win, but survive the most violent environment WWE had to offer. When he finally put Triple H down and retained his championship, Batista stepped out of the cell not just as champion, but as a bona fide icon in the making. 2. Edge vs. Mick Foley, WrestleMania 22. At WrestleMania 22, Edge and Mick Foley produced one of the most shocking hardcore matches in WWE history, a violent spectacle that pushed the limits of what the company had ever showcased on its biggest stage. Edge, with Lita at his side, was determined to prove he could thrive in extreme situations, while Foley, in classic fashion, was willing to risk everything to create a WrestleMania moment. The match featured steel chairs, barbed wire, thumbtacks, and one of the most unforgettable spots in history: a spear through a flaming table that left fans stunned. Both Edge and Foley bled during the brutal contest, but instead of shying away, they used the intensity to tell a powerful story of endurance and madness. Foley once again showed why he was regarded as the king of hardcore, sacrificing his body to elevate his opponent, while Edge proved he belonged at the top by surviving and thriving in chaos. To this day, the match is remembered as a symbol of WWE's hardcore era and a testament to how far performers were willing to go to create history. 1. Bret Hart vs. Steve Austin, WrestleMania 13. The #1 bloodiest and most iconic match in WWE history has to be Bret Hart vs. Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13. Billed as a submission match, it seemed unusual for Austin, who wasn't known for submissions, but what unfolded was nothing short of historic. The two battled in and out of the ring, fighting through the crowd in a brutal, realistic style that kept everyone glued to the action. The defining moment came when Austin, his face pouring blood, was trapped in Bret's sharpshooter. The image of Austin screaming in agony, refusing to quit, is one of the most enduring visuals in wrestling. Ultimately, he passed out from the pain rather than tap, and Bret was declared the winner. But in that moment, The roles flipped. Bret became the villain, and Austin became the rebellious hero the fans rallied behind. It was more than just a bloody match. It was a turning point that redefined WWE's future and launched Austin into superstardom. The match is remembered as a masterpiece of psychology, storytelling, and raw intensity, and it remains one of the most influential bouts in wrestling history. Conclusion: these 10 matches stand as milestones in WWE's long history, not just for the violence or the bloodshed, but for the stories they told and the emotions they stirred. They remind us that wrestling at its best is not only about athleticism, but also about passion, sacrifice, and the willingness of performers to go above and beyond for the audience. From Savage and Flair's drama-filled WrestleMania showdown to Austin and Hart's industry-changing classic, these moments have become timeless chapters in the WWE story. While today's product has moved away from such brutal visuals, these matches continue to live on in fans' memories as a reminder of how intense, unpredictable, and unforgettable professional wrestling can be. If you enjoyed this countdown and want more deep dives into wrestling history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more of the stories behind the legends.